Hey, Rabanzo here. Folky, dreamy pop artist Chris Avetta is my guest for this episode. We talk about how she handles stage jitters, the importance of perspective in music and life, and the one thing she really needs in her music career. Let's do it. This is the Unstarving Musicians Podcast. I'm your host, Rabanzo. This podcast features conversations with me and indie music artists. Conversations intended to help other indie musicians be better at marketing, business, the creative process, and all the other things that empower us to do more of what we love. Make music. Chris Avetta is part of something called Lady Brain Collective. You may have heard me talk about that in the most recent episode, which featured Lindsay White. She was also one of the performers at the first annual Lady Brain Fest, which happened this past July 7, 2019, as you're listening to this. She says she's a morning person, but she sure sleeps late by my standards. I always thought I was a morning person. I get up early, though. Turns out morning is just a time when morning people are in a great mood. I'm a morning person. This podcast, by the way, and all things Unstarving Musician are made possible by the support of its listeners, people just like you. If you enjoy the podcast, consider becoming a supporter. How does that work? There are different ways you can offer your support. To learn how, go to unstarvingmusician.com/crowd support. Or just unstarvingmusician.com. Offering support doesn't mean you have to spend money. There are options to offer financial support, of course, but there are also options that cost you $0. Regardless of which option you choose, or even if you'd rather not offer support beyond your listening time, it's okay. You're important to me just for listening to this episode. Again, if you want to offer your support, go to unstarvingmusician.com/crowd support. Chris is obsessed with Harry Potter, and she owns it. She totally geeks out on it during our conversation. She has a new single called Forest for the Trees, and you will hear a clip of that track later in the episode. It's a great song. She's got a beautiful voice. Here's me and Chris Avetta. Were you up late, or are you just kind of a late riser?
Oh, no. I was asleep by 10:30, and I didn't even go see fireworks. I just need sleep. That's my MO, mostly sleeping.
We all do, man. It's good that you... Nice. It sounds like you're taking care of yourself. On the other hand, was up a little late, saw fireworks, played a gig. But I got to sleep in a tiny bit. Not enough, but a tiny bit.
I just woke up, got coffee, talked to my roommate, and that was my big morning plan. So
Great. I love it. We originally tried this back in January. I was looking at my notes, and I had these other notes, and I don't recall much about that morning other than I was embarrassed, but it kind of looked like we talked for a few minutes.
I don't even remember talking. I'm the worst. I was like so exhausted. I'm definitely a morning person, but only if I go to bed early. So I think that was probably a late night for me too.
Well, we tried it on a Saturday, and since then I stopped doing interviews on any day of the week except Fridays, which has really helped me. But that was not the first time that it happened to me, or it was either not the first time or wasn't the last time it happened to me on a Saturday. But I just wanted to say I appreciate you agreeing to spend time with me after that.
Of course. No, I'm sorry I was so I just had been doing like a gazillion things.
You don't owe me an apology. Wrong. You were right on. You were waiting for me and ready. So from my notes, do I remember right? You moved to California in 2006, but you grew up in Arizona. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
In Tempe?
Yes.
Well, do you go back there?
Tempe, Chandler. What?
Do you go back there ever? Do you have family there?
Not if I can avoid it. I don't have family there anymore. I do have family in Arizona, but not really in Tempe, Chandler area.
I hear it's really, really hot there. I think I actually spoke to someone trying to fix some flight seats I spoke to someone who was based in Tempe, and I recently had a couple named Pete and Crystal Demore, who I believe were in Tempe when we spoke, and Crystal literally called it the depths of hell because it was so hot.
Yeah, that's fact.
What was it like growing up there?
Well, like the big feature was whether or not we could actually fry an egg on the sidewalk in the summer. Since it was such a different time, like as far as like kids being able to go out at night without their parents worrying, even though that was crazy not to worry. We would always like ride our bikes all around the neighborhood, or I used to be really into anime. So I'd enter like art contests and ride my bike to like the nearest Atomic Comics and just like, and try to win like gift cards to buy my next Sailor Moon, whatever, VHS, because yeah, there was no, obviously now like we have like streaming platforms all over the place, but there was no way to get like your favorite stuff from any other country except for like these like small access points, and Atomic Comics was one of those for me.
That's funny. I don't know that world terribly well, but I have some friends who share similar interests, and I had never thought about it in those terms, that these were things coming from outside of the country, depending on what you're interested in, and that being a sole source for kids like you to find that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to think about now. Like you can, like any kid can, like do pretty much. I mean, you could just go on YouTube and you figure it out. And like back then, I just said that. Way back then, there was like a need to actually read books and learn things the old-fashioned way, and that's probably why I didn't learn how to play guitar until like tab sites came out.
Oh, that's funny. I remember when I was a kid, and I was playing drums at a pretty young age and guitar a little bit, but all my friends, those who, weren't in band and whatnot, or they learned to play by ear and very well. But then later in life, when tablature became such an available thing online, I noticed suddenly even the ones who were quite capable of playing by ear were doing that. And I actually noticed, I guess for me, the fellow musician, like a diminishing, I wanted to say a diminishing return on that, because these guys so freely learned how to do things by ear, and suddenly they were relying on these tabs, which may or may not be accurate, and they were kind of struggling to fix things and figure them out. It's kind of funny, but that you mentioned that. So what took you to California?
My ex-husband.
Okay. You have a couple little ones, huh?
I don't actually. They would be my little ones if ever I could. No, they are. I'm their nanny.
Yeah.
So I've been a nanny for about 10 years, and they're the longest stint I've done in the child care.
I had this in my notes, but I could not find. Again, it must be because we spent a few minutes talking after I apologized to you for not being ready for our conversation back in January. But I had something in there about being a nanny. But I was looking at some. You appear to be very close to these two girls, and I was looking at that. I was like, oh, it must be her daughters, but they're lovely and.
No, but it's that a lot of people mistake them for my kids a lot. And I mean, just out and about, we all have like the same haircut, unintentional. I did not make them look like me. But they're like just the sweetest kids. Obviously, all children have a dark side, but
don't we all?
They, for the most part, yeah, for the most part, they're wonderful kids, and their family has been an incredible support system for me for the past almost 7 years. I can't believe it. So
wow.
They're like one of the major reasons that I was able to get through like the last remnants of my divorce and everything. They've been just there, and they're just, a really incredible family who I happen to work for, but they're like my family too.
That's great. Great to hear. It sounds like one of the things that anchored you to California. It looks like it's home now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it happens to be home. I having moved here from Arizona, it's definitely a step in the right direction, and I like California a lot. I don't really foresee going anywhere else in the near future. I have been in my head and heart toying with the idea of going to the UK because music is so easy over there for like a folk country-ish pop, whatever I do.
Yeah.
And so there's like a market over there. It's like kind of just now, like the beginnings of the wave, I think. But so that's something that I've thought about, but I've also thought, maybe I'll just move to LA because I have a lot of friends up there, and I've always told them, I swear I'm moving this year. I'm moving. And then something always comes up, and it was never planned. But I am in school now. I'm going to UCSD, and actually the family that I work for is supporting me through that, which is was an opportunity that I just could not refuse.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, and so 2 years ago I was going to move to LA, but then this happened, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I will do this because this is too good to pass up, to finish my degree and still be able to see the kids that I'm so close with that I have to do it. So,
what are you studying?
Yeah, art, actually, visual art.
Oh, nice. Do you know where that's going to take you artistically, or just something you love and wanted to hone in on it?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not there's so many very specific job opportunities in art, but I'm not a graphic designer, and I don't want to be. I don't want to do anything sitting on a computer. I would love to do visual art in any way I can, and obviously I feel very comfortable being some sort of entertainer. So I would never combine art and stage stuff. I'm not that kind of artist. I don't like to do live paintings or anything, where they flip over the canvas. Oh, it's an American flag, or all of a sudden you see the picture, it's something really kitschy, or it's this you're hearing Miles Davis playing music, and then all of a sudden it flips over. It's Miles Davis. Oh, it's crazy. I'm not into that. It's just too much of pandering to a certain aesthetic. That's wow. I don't know. So stage art, no, not really my thing. But I don't know. I don't really know what kind of opportunities there would be with something like that, but I'm open to whatever comes my way.
Well, I was about to say you have so much going on, it seems. That was one of the things I was going to ask you about, was studying at UC. You also are just, I guess, hours away from performing a festival in a first annual, I presume, Lady Brain Fest, which kind of brought me back to you because I was, as you know, speaking to Lindsay White. I guess you guys are perhaps co-collaborators on that, or at least in the Lady Brain Collective. But how are you feeling about the festival? And tell me about what's going to happen there for you and others.
So I'm feeling really good about it because it is really close to my home. So
that
I don't
matters.
have to travel very far. No, it does. And I'm really excited because, like Lindsay was saying, I listened to the podcast. Lindsay was saying we share a drummer, Jules Stewart, who is amazing. And, so she's going to be accompanying me with some percussion. And I haven't heard most of these acts before. So I'm really excited to hear. Yeah, it's very strange. I was really surprised that I haven't. I'm like, oh, there's new people they haven't heard of. And Brain member when it comes to showing up to meetings because I either always forget or I'm always out of town or whatever it is.
Did you just call yourself a lame member?
Yes, I am a lame member when it comes to the showing up to the meetings. I should actually have some sort of calendar posted on my wall just so I see it every day and go, this is where you need to be. I do that not just with those meetings. I do that with several other things. I need an assistant for my brain. Anyways, so I'm not totally sure what it's all going to be like, but I'm excited because basically anytime you combine food and music and art, it's a good time. And, kids get in free and you can bring your dog if they're on a leash, and we're all trying to make sure that there's, minimal amounts of trash. So everybody's allowed to bring their own container for filling up water and stuff. So yeah, I think it's something that's really important for the scene in general, and for there to be a festival like this that we just all band together. And realistically, Lindsay and Catherine have spearheaded it and they're so amazing. But this is really necessary for North County, especially because the music scene kind of is anchored down south in North Park, Normal Heights, South Park. And it's nice to get acknowledged a little bit up here because
sure.
I have to live up here for work, and it's a perfect spot for me for school. And then I have one place I go to play music every other Wednesday, and I'm the only girl who performs there regularly. And
where's
it's
that?
Just Booze Brothers in Vista.
I've seen you mention it.
Yeah, it's a really great brewery. Great brewery for the best, delicious, different and inventive beers. They also sell the Owl Farms ones. If they're not my sponsor after this, I'm going to be upset. No.
Hey, you never know.
They know how much I love their beer, and I'm there anytime I'm in town or I'm not doing something completely different or at work, then I'm at this showcase, this back porch showcase. There are a couple, or there has been one other girl who performs there. Her name is Ashley Hollander, and she's incredible. Crazy, awesome, powerhouse vocalist. She's so good. And then a couple others in duos, Delaney and Company, Melissa with Delaney and Company. She's incredible too. But overall, I'm the only one who shows up on the regular like who's been there since the beginning. So it's kind of nice to have like this community of women up here that is just, really supportive of each other.
Yeah, that's very cool. And, are you playing with your band or as a solo? Okay. Yeah, nice. That'll be cool. I'm
solo.
You are solo, so you won't be with your band.
No, I'm just with Jules. So technically duo.
A little percussion. Yeah.
But,
I was excited to see that you have a band, not to beat down on any of my guests that have been on here, but several singer-songwriters that I don't seem to do as much with a band as others. But anyway, I was excited. I know you do. It looks like you do a lot of both, playing solo scenarios and perhaps splitting that up with your band. But I think that's very cool. So for those listening, Lindsay White is a former guest 2-time and was on the most recent episode. By the time you hear this, Chris will have conquered the stage of Lady Brain Fest because it's tomorrow as we record. If all goes according to my evil plan, your episode will actually publish the following Friday. But and it's all happening. I think it's worth looking into.
It's actually Sunday.
I know. Yeah, Sunday.
It's actually,
sorry. Sunday is in tomorrow. Sunday, right? I'm sorry.
No,
in 2 days.
Today is Friday.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew that. I told you I was up late. Yeah. So it's this coming Sunday. But it will be worth looking up if you're listening to this and checking out Lindsay's conversations on the podcast. But Lady Brain Presents, you can find out more about what happened at the festival and their future plans for a second one, I hope, and the other things that you are doing locally in the music community. So happy to hear it that's coming together well. The other big thing that you have going on, and we were talking about it before I kind of officially in my own head started our conversation for the podcast, is you have a new single, Forest for the Trees.
That is right. I just released it on June 17th.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. And it sounds wonderful. Is there more to come? Are you doing an EP around it or just going to do some more singles this year maybe?
Oh, I hope I can get some more singles in. There was no real game plan. I just knew that I had to release this one. It's been sitting for a while, and I didn't have drums recorded on it. And my producer and friend was. Can I reverse that? My friend and producer was always out and about. So he, so I didn't really get any time to record the drums with him until I met Jules, and he was back from and one of the many tours he goes on. So, so I just was able to get it finished up in May, and I finally was just like, okay, get it out, shove it out there. It needs to go. It's important. It's one of those it's a piece to me. It's a piece that is a time stamp of this feeling that I had last year when I wrote the song, and it was just about time to get it out. So I'm really grateful for everybody who collaborated on it. It was Wesley Switzer, he runs Milestone Studios. Then Kyle Burz, I'm going to fuck up his last name, but he is so talented. He did a lot of the auxiliary instrumentation on there. And Kyle Burzel. Just message me on Instagram if you want to know what that name is.
You'll figure it out.
And Jules Stewart, of course. So, it was a really important song to get right, and everybody really nailed it. Everybody got it.
It sounds like it's being well received. Oh, good. It sounds like it's being well received. Reading some things on it, and also looking at your social feeds. Looks like people are loving it. I think it's great. And I hope that you follow up with some more recordings this year. This is really good stuff. So,
thanks. I would love to.
Yeah, I read that you inject, I guess is a good word to use, inject humor into your live performances. I wanted to kind of ask about where that comes from. I'm guessing you're maybe just a funny kid, I don't know, or just get some insight into the kind of things that you like to do that people have identified as much fun as listening to the music.
Actually, it's okay. I don't remember if I've ever said the same thing twice. I don't think I do. I don't have a game plan. There is no script in my head or anywhere else. If my sister is in the crowd, then there's always going to be some weird inside joke, and then that gets the ball rolling as to thinking like, somebody laughed. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for my moment now. And like it doesn't always make any sense, but it definitely, that is funny that it's become a well-known thing that I do stupid stuff on stage. It's just like it's never a part of the plan. There are times where I'm not doing anything silly because just I'm an emotional creature, and a lot of these songs are very cathartic for me. So I sometimes will just go back into that moment of what I wrote about, whatever it is. And sometimes it's not funny at all. Sometimes I'm crying on stage. Like, hi, this is my performance. This is not a joke. I don't know how else to be. So,
well, it sounds like people enjoy it wherever it comes from.
It's real. So it just comes from inside.
Being quick on your funny feet.
I think actually, what?
Being quick on your funny feet.
Funny feet, sometimes emotional feet. I don't really have I would say that it just comes from a little bit of nerves, a little bit of jitters, and then like the fact that people sometimes seem to expect a certain thing, and I get like in my head a little bit about it. So sometimes that ends well, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. But I don't really have, I mean, whenever you come to a show, it's the real thing, whatever it is. That's the thing, is like a lot of people like are performers and they do an act, you know, and, which I think is incredible. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to put on an act like that, which would be great to be able to compartmentalize my emotions, but I don't know how. So like whatever mood it is, wherever I'm at that day, that's what you're going to get. And usually it is something quirky and silly, but there are times where it's just I'm not feeling it, or I'm physically actually ill or something. And it's just like, I don't know. But I think it's also important to bring up that side of the spectrum where it's not an act, because like a lot of people are reaching for authenticity lately, and rightfully so. Just, there's a lot of superficiality in entertainment, and I don't know, whatever I'm doing, it is entertaining. I know it's entertaining because people tell me it's entertaining, and they're not just my friends and family, so that's good.
Yeah.
But
that's great. It sounds like
I'm like,
no, it's all right. It sounds like you're just being yourself and letting people inside your weird little world, which is good. I think people, a great way to let people inside, a great way to connect, obviously, with friends and fans who come out to see you. Chris, we're going to take a quick break, okay? So hang tight with me. You were listening to my conversation with Chris Avetta, and this is a clip from her new track, Forest for the Trees. Let's check it out.
Midnight sunrise telling this tale of mine. Cross the wide gray divide, I noticed a spark in the indigo sky.
So you mentioned, as we were talking about the humor aspect of your performances, that you think sometimes it might be a little bit based on nerves or jitters. Is that is getting nervous to perform live or record something that you cope with at all on a regular basis, or even recognize, or was it just something that came up because we were talking about the humor bit?
I recognize it. It's something that has taken I don't know, certain markers in life to get over. Like I had crippling stage fright as a kid, so
Really?
I never really
You sound nervous talking about it.
Yeah, it's bad. I tried to do talent shows. I tried to do, audition for like plays and stuff like that. And whenever I auditioned, I bombed. Like one of the things that people always tell me is like, "Oh, your voice, it's like so angelic," or whatever. And I'm like, if my choir teacher could hear that, that would have been. But back then, I never got. I was just so scared that, and you could tell that the way I sang was just shaky and nervous, and it didn't release something. I don't know, but
well, nowadays, do you? I mean, is it in the front of your mind at all? And if so, do you have any things that you do to not keep it at bay, but just to sort of deal and calm yourself down? Or is it really, have you just completely kind of gotten past it, and yes, it's there, but it's not looming or anything every time you walk on stage?
So it's a combination of both of those. I feel like there are times where it's easier to put it on the back burner, that specific anxiety. But for the most part, my coping mechanism is to just remember that this is one moment, this is one performance. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Whatever it is. I've worked hard enough to know that I'm fucking good. That's not I'm patting myself on the back, I'm the cock of the walk, whatever. Yeah, I said it. Cock of the walk. Whatever. I never say that. So this has been a strange week of me saying things I never say. Anyway, anyways, yeah, so I just feel like it's not like I'm not being pompous about it. I have worked hard to be better, to exercise my range vocally, to push myself on playing guitar, and any other instrument I feel like picking up that day. Like, it's so remembering, okay, I've actually worked really hard. And if somebody's going to look at me and go, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing, I'm like, that's fine. Go ahead. Do you want to take this guitar? Do you want to sing up here? Do you want to spend 37 hours like figuring out a song and then learning your own words and then trying to play it in front of people? Go ahead. Do that. Oh, you're not doing that. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to do that then, you know?
Well,
so
interestingly, I asked because I think I just heard something yesterday I was listening to about someone who coaches not just music performers, but performers of all types. And they were talking about this sort of being nervous before the moment of doing whatever it is you're going to do. And then they started referencing boxers who, surprisingly, you know, if you had ever seen some of the greats, that you'd walk in their dressing room or whatever you call it, and they weren't like real intense. They were completely relaxed, maybe watching TV or something, with the attitude like, well, if I'm not ready now, I'm not going to be. And afterwards, I was, I don't know if I was sharing that bit that I'd listened to talking to my wife, but or nor do I recall if she asked me or if I just threw it out, that I was having a little anxiety about playing last night, as a matter of fact, because there was new material, you know, to learn, and I opted out of a rehearsal that I didn't want to go to. And I said, just send me the stuff. I promise, you know, I'll give you my all, and you know, it'll be great. But it was a nice reminder for me, and it sounds like you, in a way, have your own way of realizing the same, is that you put in the work, you're as prepared as anyone, and if you don't already know it by the time you have to go on, you're not going to know it any better anyway, so you just go do your best.
Exactly. I think even a little bit, like, more so than that, like, that is the logistics of the thought, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I have something written on my mirror right now that I'm looking directly at. It says, everything is nothing. And what else does it say?
I thought everything is everything.
Oh, it also says Heather stock.
That what?
Remember to bring back a sock.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. I'm like, oh, these reminders. These are my 2 reminders. They're very valuable, though. Remember the sock. But everything is nothing. And that is just, that sounds really like I just smoked a lot of pot, and I'm like, everything is nothing, man.
Where does that come from? Where does that come from?
It comes from trying to remind myself that like, this is the smallest, most insignificant life. Like, my position here and everyone else's position is like the tiniest little blip on the scale. It's nothing. So to, like, and to also remember that, like, it's everything you see, everything that really is. This is like our reality. It means something to every person, and all of your relationships and connections, they mean something. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, to help give perspective about when something goes wrong or something isn't going as well as you hoped, or it's taking longer than you thought, it's just to remember that, like, don't lead with that. Don't lead with the worry and the doubt and the fear. Lead with the fact that, like, this is this is all a gift,
Mm-hmm.
This is something that, and I don't know from what or who. I am not a religious person, but like this is our one thing we get. But at the same time, like if we put too much pressure on ourselves or like our goals or anything we're doing, then we forget that, like, to just let it be, to just let it happen. And I don't know. This is not my TED Talk. I don't. It's just my reminder to go on stage and remember and like enjoy that feeling of jitters a little bit. If I'm feeling nervous, if I'm worried about something, like it's kind of like that's a unique thing to feel that and to be able to do what I do and to like know that I spent X amount of hours trying my best to be my best for what I enjoy in life. And so I don't know, everything we are and everything we do, it really is the tiniest little thing. So it alleviates a lot of that pressure to do it exactly right, Yeah,
I like that. And I'm kind of, I was kind of looking in my head for a way to work this in, but I'm reminded, here's my work it in, but I'm reminded how much we all have in common, even when we have some differences. So I had a guy on the podcast a while back named Tony Hara, and he is really just not like, he wasn't overtly so in our conversation, super nice guy. And I didn't know this when we started. We were at the outset of our conversation. I learned that his wife had passed away, or he lost his wife in the prior year. And he was a single dad all of a sudden, I think with 2 kids. But he said something kind of along these lines during our conversation, because I asked him if he'd mind talking about it. And so we just rolled, and he told me the story. But at one point he said, I've just come to realize that we're not promised anything in life. We're not promised tomorrow or anything. And I mentioned that he is religious, and you'd said that you're not, and I just sort of like, we all sort of think about, well, hopefully, because I think this is a really important thing for us all to think about, to maintain perspective, to remember that life can be fleeting. We are a small blip, as you say. So anyway, I think that's really nice stuff.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that.
Well, that's, yeah. And that's, sadly, sometimes it does take those really isolating and hopeless and desperate moments to come to those realizations. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever wish that on anybody. That it's definitely been the most effective thing, like for me personally, and for a lot of people. And I think that, like, if anybody can come to that sort of understanding of our universe and everyone's position in it, without that would be that's like the reason I do music, the reason that I share what I'm, this reason we're talking right now,
Yeah. And I have to
try and help.
I have to take back what I said about Tony, because I don't know if it's really true. I say he's religious. I don't really know that, but he mentioned God throughout this thread, and so I just put religious on it. So if he listens to this, Tony, if you're not, it's okay. I apologize if I put something on you that you're not. I want to shift gears and ask you something about the business of your music, and I want to know if there's any.
Oh.
I want to know if there's anything that stands out for you that is working right now at the intersection of your music and business and life. And so to just rephrase it in a single question, what is working for you at that intersection of music, business, and life right now? Right now,
I would say nothing. No, no. I'm not. I remember this question when you asked Lindsay. So
did I ask her this?
That's why I said, "Oh, you said something like, how do you manage like the business side of it? Something along those lines." And I was like, oh, good job answering that. I don't know what I would say. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to say. I actually, I really don't feel like I do a good job at managing. I need a manager. I would love a manager. Anybody out there who knows how to manage a musical act, book act, whatever it is, I am always open to work with anybody who understands that side of it. And I'm also, there's like levels of, I promise this is pertinent. There's levels of like playing. So you start at one spot and you kind of move forward and you move forward. And then all of a sudden you're like in a place where you're not just a singer-songwriter testing out new songs. You are trying to figure out a way to get your band paid the best and the place that's going to draw the most people to get to the next thing so that you can record the next song, so that you can do the next thing. And I am the least organized human being I know. I don't, like I said, it's like, it's the same as like the way that I talk on stage. It's circular. It always comes back to something, but it looks like I don't have a plan. And the one thing I know how to do is like showcase a feeling and an emotion. That side really doesn't lend itself to business at all. And I've been working so hard on like processing things for myself and hopefully helping others process those things, that like I have not really cultivated the other side that is really necessary, like keeping track of money, scheduling, and finding the best places and applying and having a set like thing to say in your emails. I'm just really, so business wise, it's not a business. I have like these little gems that if you catch me at the right moment, it's pretty cool. Like I went on tour a few years ago to the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of people bought original art. Now they have like a piece of original art that I did for the tour that I sold like with CDs, with music, and they get to like hang it in their house, their apartment, whatever. And it's really small. So it's like stuff that you can like keep with you. And that's my only business plan is to really reach straight to the jugular of anybody's emotions and connect. So
I'm really glad I'm really glad I asked you this. No, it's okay. I'm glad I asked. I wasn't really intended to ask you what's going well on the business side. And I know because I used the word business in the question and you remembered what Lindsay and I had talked about. And it's so funny. I'd have to listen to our conversation again too, to kind of, I'm curious now, what you had heard that sounded like the same. My memory is like, she said something about, I don't know, expenses or something about business, which made me want to ask her about it. But I'm realizing that now that you're saying this, like a moment ago, I was like, the guy I mentioned, Tony Hara, he had this great story about, I want to say it was a PR person, but it was actually maybe a label that he found fortuitously. And I haven't spoken with him in months, so he was very excited about what they were going to be doing with and for him. And I've had other conversations with people who are very happy with a PR person that they're with, and I've connected with some of these people. But I guess I'm telling you this because it's making me realize that there's probably several of you that I've spoken to who feel like you do, and perhaps I have an opportunity to connect you with fellow artists or some of these people who are in PR or with labels that might have interest in what you're doing, or at least could share something that gives you a little bit of new insight. So I'll have to do that. Yeah, and if this is something of interest to you, I welcome you to follow up with me after our conversation in any way that works for you. And this is something I need to pursue for you and others anyway. So feel free to ping me afterwards, and we can talk about it some more.
Yeah, I would love that. Always open to new PR or managing or any. This is the next side of it. Like, okay, I got the music stuff down, got the band, I got people in place. Now I need to be able to go show everybody else.
Yeah. In all my interviewer skill and wisdom, I thought, I'm going to ask her. And see, I thought I was asking a new question. You said, I remembered you asked this to Lindsay White. But I was going to ask you, so what's working for you at this intersection? And then I was going to ask you, what's not working? And you kind of answered that in a way. But
sorry.
No. You know what? I'm going to ask you anyway, if you feel like, I kind of hit it. That's what's not working for me. But what, maybe thinking about the question a little bit differently, or me rephrasing it a little bit differently and leaving the word business out, but what's not working at where music and life intersects for you?
Well, actually, right now, I would say it's very the business aspect out of it. I would say the one thing that makes it really difficult is the fact that I live kind of far from every band member, and we all have schedules, so it's hard to get together.
That's the worst.
Yeah, and I write songs and then I send them to them to say, hey, do you feel like this is something that we should work on and stuff like that? And because my amazing band is really incredible, they're always on board. And now I have to shout them out. Trevor Hammer, he is like a guitar wizard. He's just a wizard in general, but he's a musical wizard. And
Not
Alex
the Harry Potter
Martinez.
kind.
Actually, yes, the Harry Potter kind and the musical kind.
I just threw that in there because I threw that in there.
California.
I just threw that in there because it looked like to me, I didn't think it was going to come up, but that you have some, what is it? Interest, fandom.
Harry Potter obsession?
Yes, thank you.
You don't have to sugarcoat it. This is the part of the interview where everybody who knows me that is listening is like, oh, of course you had to work in Harry Potter. No, yeah. I'm completely unhealthily obsessed, and I feel great about it. So if it's unhealthy, it's like eating chocolate every day. So I'm good with it.
That's not unhealthy.
It feels great.
There's nothing unhealthy about eating chocolate every day.
9 out of 10 doctors say you should read Harry Potter every day.
That's funny.
No. All right. But, I went there for my 30th birthday. It was kind of a magical experience.
Where was this?
Unintended.
Where was this?
That was Florida, the Harry Potter World, Universal Studios.
Okay. Can you tell I'm
Harry
not obsessed?
Potter.
I'm like, what? Can you tell I'm not obsessed? Because I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's okay. It's okay. It's getting into your world right now. It's unavoidable.
My wife has read all the books, and I don't know if she's seen all the movies, but she really enjoyed them as well. I don't know if she's planning to go to the studio or anything, but she definitely likes it. I haven't read one of them, not one. I fell asleep in one of the movies.
All right, listen, I gotta go.
It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. I was probably trying to watch it late, drinking too much wine or something.
I used to think it was a judgment on someone's character. Now I've opened up my world enough to know that if you haven't read Harry Potter, it's okay. But I am going to school you. Whatever you... Actually, the girls I take care of, I've been with them since they were born, and like every time they mention anything about Harry Potter, I haven't even been able to read the books to them yet because they don't have the attention span yet. But like every time they mention something about like Hedwig or like the things that they know, my heart just like grows 3 sizes for them. It's just
That's so funny.
So it's such a like sweet and like, oh, I'm doing something right moment.
Too funny. So I got you off your band. You were talking about the wizardry of your guitar player. Finish with the rest of the band. They're going to be sad if you don't mention them if they listen to this.
Yes. Okay. Alex Martinez, he's a wonderful bassist and he's so supportive. He just like, and he just really understands the music and I love that. And of course, Jules Stewart is like she reached out to me when I posted on Instagram about like needing a band, and I thought, yeah, of course I'll like play with anybody. And she was like, I also have 2 other people if you want. So she is the connecting factor for Trevor and Alex, and I'm just really lucky that she reached out, and because she does backing vocals too, which is really essential for a lot of my songs. And
nice.
Actually, I usually have like more than 2 backing vocals. So if anybody else out there wants to sing backing, I'm usually the one to sing backing vocals for all of my friends' bands. So if anyone wants to do what I do for me, that would be great.
That's cool. Well,
she adds like.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you.
I just was going to say she adds so much to it whenever she does that. So it's like really great. And they're just they're all so talented and I'm so lucky. And that's the end of the story.
That's great. You work well together. I mentioned I had seen your recent performance for that local news station where Lindsay and you were there talking about Lady Brain Fest. And they sounded really good. It's kind of neat how they, I assume the news station was somewhat responsible for the way that sounded too. It sounded pretty nice. Recording wise.
It sounded great.
Yeah. I was very impressed with the way the drums sounded too. They sounded great.
Yeah, they did a great job. I'm going to throw myself under the bus right now. I fucked up twice, very noticeably, and I'm calling it jazz at this point because it was twice.
I saw your comment.
It was on purpose.
Remember, it's jazz. Yeah, I saw that. All right, Chris, I need to tell everyone where they can find you. So it looks like chrisavetta.com, and that's Chris like CHRIS, and Avetta is AVETTA, and you're at Chris Avetta on the socials and at Chris Avetta Music on the Facebook. And I recommend people check you out there and check out some of your music. Your music and your voice and your band are all great. You look great. You're pretty funny. I wish I could see one of the shows. Maybe someday I'll come to San Diego or the area and get to see you perform. I presume that there may be some video captured of the festival this Sunday. I hope.
Yeah, I'm hoping somebody like records it just in general, like set up the camera and stuff. Actually, now I'm feeling like I have something to do today to figure that out.
Make sure somebody's going to do it. By the way, do you do much photography on your own for yourself for music, or do you just have friends that shoot for you, or do you hire someone? I ask because you have a lot of nice shots.
Thank you. Actually, the most recent photo shoot I did was with Romy Rossel. She is amazing. She's been photographing North County musicians for a little while, and her sister Theo have created this company upcycling barley and like hops bags from breweries and making them into like tote bags, backpacks, and all this. And then they just are launching this weekend their bags that they did with Vans Warped Tour. This is the last Warped Tour. So Vans Warped Tour like donated all of their banners to Russell and Co. And they are upcycling them, and those ones are so badass. I'm really jealous that I did not get one of those because they look really cool.
Nice.
And they're like very, very much part of like this like Southern California surfer skater scene. So yeah, so Romy is the one who took those photos, but I've worked with Kelly Elaine up in LA. I've worked with Fernando De Silas, who lives in Georgia. He's a friend. He's my friend's husband. He's a friend of my friend. They have children together. They live together. This is a friendship. But yeah, I'm lucky enough to have worked with some really amazing photographers, but I myself don't do any photography yet. I would love to get back into that. I did that for a long time, but everything else kind of took over. So
I understand. Well, yeah, you have some good shots, so thanks for sharing that with us. And good luck at the festival. Give the ladies my regard, and I look forward to seeing the video that you're going to make sure happens. So I'll hold you to that, and maybe we'll be talking again about PR and labels and management. If for no other reason, just me asking you some follow-up thoughts. And thank you for spending time with me again.
Of course. Thank you so much for reaching out again. I feel terrible about what happened before, but thank you for talking to me when I'm this weird person that I know is not easy to navigate all the time.
You're not so weird. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Do I hang up now? I don't know how this is.
You can just hang on with me. That's great. I'm going to leave that in.
All right. Okay, great.
That was fun. I'm glad we finally reconnected. Be sure to check out our new single, Forest for the Trees, wherever you buy or stream your music. Hey, if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you know that I'm a fan of Bandzoogle. Let me tell you why. Bandzoogle powers websites for thousands of musicians around the world, from garage bands to Grammy winners. They have an easy-to-use system to help you get your site up fast. Lots of mobile-friendly templates to help you customize and design your site. It's built for musicians by musicians. Here are some of the features that Bandzoogle has. They have a merch and download store to sell music and merch commission-free right on your website. A tour calendar to promote your shows and sell tickets commission-free, mailing list tools to grow your fan list and send professional-looking emails and newsletters, integrations to pull in content from all your socials, and live support from a musician-friendly team 7 days a week. Plans start at just $8.29 a month, but you can go to bandzoogle.com to start a 30-day free trial. You can use the promo code ROBONZO, ROBONZO, to get 15% off the first year of any subscription. That's bandzoogle.com, promo code ROBONZO, ROBONZO, to build your artist website today. Look for links to just about everything talked about in this episode in the episode show notes at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. Thanks again so much for listening. With much gratitude, peace, love, and more cowbell.